I want to introduce you now to one of the organizers. They're going to read you a speech written by the entirety of the Queer Coalition who helped put this together. And it holds things that we feel are so important. And the reason that it's so important and so amazing that you're all here today. Because we don't believe that revolution starts with a single revolutionary, but the power, the connections, and the actions of the many. So please, please help me welcome Marty to the stage.
Our name is queer power, queer liberation, queer revolution. They, them, she, her, he, his. Our name is queer power, and this letter is our pledge to make our city and our community a truly revolutionary, intersectional, and safe space. Our name is queer power, but queer power is your name too, because you decided to show up for your community today. Welcome to the first Pride in Leiden in almost 40 years. You wonder why there hasn't been a queer march for quite some time? In 1983, here in Leiden, at the Rose Zaterdag, the first gay pride in Leiden, people chanted, "Tussen droom en daad staan gezin en staat." Between dream and action stand the nuclear family and the state. That chant resonates with us. It resonates with queer power. Yet there hasn't been a queer protest march of any kind since the 80s. We're grown to believe we're isolated in our experiences. Everything in Leiden screams at us that the people here are conservative, that the government and the university are conservative. People in Leiden aren't the rebellious types, they tell us. People in Leiden are elite and are only here to study, they tell us. People in Leiden are poor and they should only work for themselves, they tell us. We're let ourselves believe the things they say about us. But aren't we all here today? Doesn't this prove that what they say is false? We've grown complacent, no longer. It's time to burst our bubble together and march for queer liberation. It is time to burst our own bubble together and organize our people for queer liberation. Do you think it's normal for queer people to walk in fear on the streets of their own city? Do you think it's normal for trans folk to have the autonomy of their body taken away by cisgender people? No! Do you think it's normal for our community to have the city cutting us up in pieces of ethnicity and class? No! In order for us to achieve queer liberation, we must stop listening to the abusive so-called normality they force upon us. Forget about the many pride parades and parties which are corporate-led, inclusive to cops, inclusive even to far-right groups, and then exclusionary towards their own people. Forget about inclusivity and gay friendliness altogether. Do you think it's normal that employers lure us with useless anti-discrimination policy to then police our identity over and over again? No! We don't want to be included in a queer-phobic society. We don't want their tolerance, their friendliness. We don't want to become part of neoliberal capitalism, the profit-making machine that this country holds so dear. We got to recognize that workplace inclusivity isn't queer liberation, it is gay commodification. Do you think it's normal for queer students at Leiden University to have to settle to settle for merely one gender-neutral toilet tucked away in a basement while openly fascist professors have marked their territory all over the campus. We have got to recognize that the university gibberish about diversity isn't queer liberation, it is gay tokenism. But most importantly, do you think it's normal that we do nothing about all this? No! Instead, let queer power speak the truth of our people. We gotta make it clear that we're ready to fight, that we're ready to bring us together again. Because queer liberation is fighting united for all our different struggles. Because, as Marsha P. Johnson said, you never completely have your rights, one person, until you all have your rights. Queer liberation is empowerment and reclaiming your space instead of being included in theirs. Queer liberation is free housing for everyone. Queer liberation is total control over your workplace against shareholders and bosses. Queer liberation is free education and public research. Queer liberation is fighting back segregation and gentrification. Liberation is anti-fascism. Queer liberation is anti-racism within the community. And it is also anti-ableism for visible and invisible disability. Queer liberation is women's liberation. Queer liberation is decolonization, the end of the Dutch kingdom, the end of the Dutch monarchy. Queer liberation is public health for everything, for everyone. Queer liberation is free Palestine, it's free Afghanistan, it's free Lebanon, it's free Kurdistan, it's Jesus Catholic, it's land back to indigenous people. Queer liberation is prison abolition and transformative justice. Queer liberation is a cultural uprising, a cultural revolution, an incredible history that doesn't need to be televised to straight eyes to be deemed acceptable. Our name is queer power, queer liberation, queer revolution. They, them, she, her, he, his. We have pride, yes, but that's not enough. We can't only have pride for society still abuses us. Today we have pride, but tomorrow we start the hard work of resisting their abuse. And we are ready for it all, because we have plenty of love and rage. Because we dedicate every day to become queer revolutionaries. Because it is our duty to fight for our freedom. And it is our duty to win. Queer power is your name too. Come start the queer revolution.